things are going forward, even if they don't want them to. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. We got so many things to get into. In this video, we have, of course, a little bit of the culture. Apparently, what they're putting in bookstores. We're going to get into that in the children's books. We're going to get into also a number of other stories. We have a huge update, some good news, some really good news. Something big is about ready to happen. And actually, I think this whole thing is starting to fall apart. I'm seeing all the moving pieces. They're trying to stop this from falling apart, but it's way bigger than you realize. We're going to get into something Eric Weinstein just said that is kind of amazing on an interview that just came out today. And we're going to get into actually a number of other stories with some in Hollywood as well. Let's just start here. This is in a bookstore. Oh, no, this is Barnes & Noble. I'm sorry. Well, that is a bookstore. Okay, we're gay, but we're in Barnes & Noble, and there is a gay, of course, kids section. This is crazy. Now, check this out.
Book section, a gay kids book section, and this shit is crazy. Look at this. Okay, there's the gay VCs, right? Bye binary. Bye binary with a mohawk on a baby. Gay VCs, you're not ready. Hold this. Okay. What? A is for arrow and ace. B is for bi. This is crazy. We're gay, but this is great.
So this is the kind of stuff they're putting in bookstores now, like Barnes & Noble. Unbelievable. I mean, how far are they going to take this? Obviously, there was this joke some years ago literally talking about this. Check this out.
You are the baby's father now, and you chose to dress that baby up in a t-shirt that says what?
Baby. This was satire. This was supposed to be a joke.
Bye.
It's not a joke anymore. They're clearly trying to put this out there. And this is, of course, going to backfire. And you're already seeing the popularity of this entire movement going to the wayside. This is only going to speed it up. And soon here, you're going to see a lot of people rejecting that altogether as time goes on. We have here Eric Weinstein talking about, of course, Jeffrey and the whole island thing. And what's interesting about this is he talks about how they even tried to come to him, he being a scientist, and trying to get him. Apparently, Jeffrey knew a lot about his own scientific work as well, which is really bizarre. Check this out.
I don't know who ran him, but he knew a tremendous amount about my scientific work in ways that he wasn't supposed to. Very powerful people told me I needed to meet him. He certainly was not a financier in any standard sense. That was a...
Of course not. That was the cover story.
Cover story. I need to know what this thing was, and I want to know why people don't investigate it.
He goes on to say more.
I want to know why nobody asks for the filings, but I think more than anything, we don't trust our scientists because our scientists are the most powerful people in our society.
So do you think science is being controlled so that it can be used in a way that's beneficial?
Interesting.
Let's put it this way.
Eric Weinstein.
So, of course, he's been talking about how things have went awry, particularly since 2020 with the whole thing that we were dealing with. Back then, no one seems to trust, of course, the science anymore, do they? And actually, we have some good news on that front. Apparently, Fauci may not be pardoned anymore. We're going to get into that story in a little bit. So this is all falling apart whether they want it to or not. Okay? And I mentioned sort of a theory on my other channel, God Rules 2, about why our president was holding this all back. I think it might actually be the reason. And I talked about how Pam, Bondi was basically talking out of both sides of her mouth, saying that we have no files, but then at the same time, telling the court that they're still going through them. And I showed that. I don't even think I have that article open. I'm not trying to go through that whole thing that I presented in my other channel. But basically, there was a reasoning behind all this. And I sort of postulated a scenario to ChatGPT with regards to what one expert said, an expert who worked for the FBI who actually did these type of cases. He said the reason why they haven't come out with it, we're talking the list, is because they're still processing leads. And the reason why that's the case is because they know they have something, but they need to give more evidence. But of course, this is a new administration that came in. The prior administration had all this stuff in their hands. And for some reason, people are ignoring sort of the elephant in the room that perhaps they corrupted some of it. Perhaps they destroyed a lot of it. Perhaps they did whatever to it. And now this new administration that's in is going to have to rebuild all of it. And perhaps the reason why he came out and said there was no, of course, list is because of the fact of there could be a number of court cases that could come out as a result of this that would make them free and not guilty, even if they were guilty, because they could say that they were being slandered. They could say that there was not due process. They could do because you have to follow all these little jots and tittles to make sure you do it right. That if they just say, here's the criminal list, and they don't actually have the evidence to back it up, that'll be considered, slander, or I can't think of the right term off the top of my head right now, but basically they could sue over that. Even if later it's found out it was true. Because there was no due process, they could literally get off scot-free. And then I showed how actually our president was one of the few people that actually helped out with the investigation back in 2009 or 8, whenever it was, the original first one. So I don't want to rehash that whole thing. If you want to see that, go check out my other channel. I actually go through all of it and show what this expert who worked in literally the exact same area was saying on an interview. But now I want to get into some new stuff here. Scientists being corrupted from this, of course, island. This should show you that there's something much bigger going on here. That this might affect much more than we realize. If you got people like Eric Weinstein, they're trying to get him to go to the, island. And you got people like Stephen Hawking going there. What are they trying to do? Are they literally trying to tell them to say certain things in the scientific realm as well? If they're doing that, what else are they doing? They're probably influencing every sector, of course, of society. And could it end up being that there's so many people involved that our entire infrastructure could fall apart? We're talking like the GOV, a lot of different sectors. I don't know. It's just a question I'm asking.
I'm not kidding. You're looking at the end, man.
Do you really think this is the start of the end?
Of course it is. Look at how much has happened in the last month. And the big problem is that we share one atmosphere, all of humanity's eggs.
So he's saying that he thinks the apocalypse is next. This is literally a guy, I don't think he's a believer at all. Like, I don't think he's a Christian. At least, not to my knowledge, I don't think he is, unless there's something that's changed. He thinks literally the apocalypse is coming. And I'm going to get into a bunch of stuff in that realm a little bit real quick here. How it ties into Peter Thiel and AI. And that also comes back to, of course, the island, by the way. First, though, and we're going to get into actually a ton of stuff. First, I got to mention food supply, 25-year shelf life. Link is in the description, 3 months worth for $4.97. You're going to definitely want to get that if you have not already. Link is in the description. You never know what's next, my friends. It's always wise to be prepared. This book here, The Lost Ways, How Your Great-Great-Grandfather Lived Without Electricity, How to Build a Cellar, Do Things Around the House as They Did in the Good Old Days, hundreds of pages illustrated. You're going to need that book before the power goes out for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Never know what's next. Get the printed version, $37. You're obviously not going to be able to read it on your computer if your computer's down. Also, check out our game, Noah VR. We have 140 seats left for this. You can get involved, and after you put $400 in, you will get a cut of 33% of the profits when the game releases. Link is in the description for that. Let's get back to the video. So we have here OpenAI co-founder wanted to build a doomsday, of course, bunker to protect its company scientists from quote-unquote the rapture. This is an AI co-founder, OpenAI, right? You got Jerome Powell there talking. I showed that article many times. It's just hilarious looking into some of what these people say, like Sam Altman. You have here apparently Jeffy Boy was the one who backed, of course, Peter Thiel. And he's the one now with this Palantir, all this interesting stuff going on with regards to that. He even talked about the Antichrist. And, of course, when he was interviewed recently, the guy's like, it seems like all the technology you're making would actually help out the Antichrist. And he started smiling when he said that to him. Yeah, so this is not looking good. Let's just put it that way. You have, of course, Joe Rogan here talking about all these top scientists, prominent people, of course, going there to that one island. And you have to ask yourself, why is there so much of this? This seems like a very huge interest in keeping people going a certain direction. Also for you and I to think certain ways. For us to believe certain things. You even had Hawking's there. Goodness gracious. I mean, it's ridiculous when you think about it. You had all these different people, scientists that were being obviously coaxed to go there. And if scientists are going there, you know everyone else is. I mean, why would you need to put a scientist there? Why would you need a scientist there? Because they're literally trying to, of course, control all that wonderful, information. And so one theory is our president has friends and relatives that are on this and are involved, or friends or whatever. Another one is they had all the had a lot of the evidence destroyed by the prior, of course, administration, and they're having to rebuild the entire case, which would fit in with what this expert said that does these type of cases, and that they're trying to rebuild leads, and maybe someone was preemptively trying to release something, maybe this Maxwell chick, which is now coming out, and that they were trying to preempt that by saying there is no list, meaning criminals, because they want to be able to prosecute this properly, and if you don't release it properly, they'll all walk scot-free. Now, would you like it for him to release the list and everybody walks scot-free? I don't want that. I'm not saying, but I showed it. I don't have do I have the ChatGPT open anymore? I found another way to show you guys. I went to my actual video to find it. Here you go. So preventing defamation lawsuits, civil liability, undermining due process, because you said they are criminals and you don't actually have the evidence because the evidence was removed or tampered with from the prior, of course, administration. I don't know. But you also have protecting the integrity of the ongoing investigation. You don't want to alert the individuals, undermine efforts to corroborate facts, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I was trying to get at. At any rate, you get the idea. Then I wanted to kind of play a couple different clips here and kind of go through some other stuff we have here. The other aspect is where maybe there's some people he knows that are on the, of course, list.
And even distance yourself from the people involved. It's worth stating Trump actually denied knowing Prince Andrew.
I don't know Prince Andrew.
Of course, this was immediately debunked by photos showing the two together. And of course, showing that they clearly knew each other as of 2000. Now, the reason you would deny knowing Prince Andrew, even though...
Well, I mean, that's not good. Maybe he meant he wasn't his friend. I don't know if that, what he was trying to say by he didn't know him, because he clearly has pictures of him with him in various events in the past. You have, of course, this from Alex telling us basically what I was saying about them potentially tampering, of course, with the evidence before he even got in. Actually, here it is. He says here that our president is correct, that the Democrats have been in control of these files for years. This is a huge fact that people need to pay attention to, obviously. I mean, of all people who might want to get rid of it, you know what I mean? Like, particularly if they knew someone else could get back in again, they might maybe want to get rid of that all. So that is something to consider as well. But what else do we have here? So we have also, okay, let's play this.
I know for a fact documents are being suppressed, and they're being suppressed to protect individuals. I know the names of the individuals. I know why
So why is this guy not being brought in front of Congress to testify of what this is under oath?
But I hand to God, I know the names of people whose files are being...
Yeah, his client's dead.
...being suppressed.
Yeah, so of course, like I mentioned, what I showed earlier, the reason why you wouldn't necessarily want everyone to just come up and testify is because, well, you can let them, but if it's coming from the GOV itself, from this administration, you don't want them directly to agree with it per se, because you want to make sure you have all the evidence lined up, because if you don't, you're going to have defamation lawsuits. You're going to have civil liability. You're going to have undermining due process. You see what I mean? So that's why whenever you watch someone that's a YouTuber that's in a lawsuit, they say, oh, I can't talk about this right now on stream or on my video because I got to deal with the lawsuit. Why? Because it can screw up the whole court case. That's basically the reason why you don't want our president to say he has all of it lined up unless he has it all lined up for the court case going forward. But the question is, why would he come out and say that he has nothing? And again, I think it's maybe because someone was going to come out and say something, and sort of someone in the government is going to come out and say something that would screw up the whole thing. That's just my theory. I don't know for sure. Otherwise, it's something like maybe family and friends of our president's on, of course, the list. That's another possibility.
Although she has not yet named specific individuals, her comments suggest that the client list may contain politically explosive information with the potential to upend public trust in some of the nation's most prominent figures. I don't know.
Oh, gee, I think it's going to be a lot of people. The entire infrastructure all around you, even the scientists, even the Hollywood. Well, obviously, nobody really trusts Hollywood anymore anyways. But the GOV, science, pretty much every sector you can think of. Business, everything. This is my theory. Of course, she thinks, we're talking Maxwell thinks that he, of course, was killed.
No, he didn't. I don't believe he did. I believe that he was murdered. Well, I'm shocked.
Of course, at any rate, so you got that. Then you have this. Of course, there's this other thing going around saying that we have apparently someone who worked in that Metropolitan Correctional Center claiming that a unmarked van had picked him up and removed him from the facility, and they didn't even have his license plate or nothing. And that Jeffrey, of course, got away. This is what, we don't know if this is true. This is an actual post that was online. Anybody could have just made up something. But I mean, the fact is, yeah, 2/3 of Congress. That's what I was thinking. There was actually a person that had a dream about this. It was like 5 years ago. I remember this. And it was from a person who's had many dreams come true. I can't remember who it was. I think it was on Coverstone's channel, Dana Coverstone. And it was like 2020 or something. I remember watching the dream being told. And essentially, after all the fallout, most of Congress was empty. Like, that's how bad this might be. Like, most of them could be gone because of this. That could be another factor, which... honestly, that might be a good thing, right? Well, that is a really good thing. It's not might be. It is a good thing. I don't care. Get rid of them all. If they were all, being corrupted and not serving, of course, the people. Yeah, I think that. Now, of course, now we have, of course, the FBI doing things in other respects. And this is what I was talking about. It's going forward even if they don't want it to. So we have Patel here has opened a probe into, of course, a lot of the things that have happened over the years, the whole Russia thing, the whole what happened in 2020, everything. So they're doing that. And so you're seeing some stuff go forward. We have, of course, also some good news that now this is the USA Today. They're saying that the decisions were backed by our former president. with regards to some of the things he had signed, talking about the auto pen thing. But apparently, we have other articles that have come out, like this one here, where our former president admits he didn't approve each individual, of course, pardon, and that some of the chief of staff did. And one of those people was this guy, this doctor right here. And it wasn't under the authority of our former president. So this guy's pardon is probably illegitimate. I'm guessing it 100% is illegitimate. And it was like a preemptive one anyways, which is ridiculous. How can you get a preemptive one anyways? So you got that. And of course, I've talked about how, you know, we see it with these scientists. Some of them were influenced by this. We had, of course, Hollywood, Mel Gibson, and a lot of actors would not go along with it. Val Kilmer. I've talked about this numerous times. The fact is, it's interesting looking at his arrest. Happened to be that he had said something racist against this one specific country who happens to be somehow tied into this whole thing. I found that to be very interesting as well. Back in 2006, maybe they were trying to pressure him to go or get on board with the program, and he refused. And then they're like, well, let's just destroy his career altogether. Unfortunately for them, it didn't work. He got very popular. And of course, so we see that even Hollywood, even the science, and then if you think about it, so if it's hitting science, if it's hitting these politicians, if it's hitting royalty, I mean, this is going to go deep. This is going to be really deep. And there is also the aspect of, will they have enough people to replace all these people when it does happen as well? Do they have all the evidence lined up, or has it been tampered with or destroyed? You have a lot of factors like this all involved in this. You want it to go forward where we know who it was, but at the same time, they don't get to get off scot-free because we didn't have due process. We didn't have all the ducks in a row. Then they can like claim, they can claim defamation. They can claim civil liability, all that kind of stuff. These guys have like teams of lawyers. They're not poor people. Very rich people that can get off if you make one little mistake while trying to, of course, some people are like, well, it should be military based. That'd be great. Maybe that's what it'll end up being. I don't know. But the question is, how is this all going to go forward? It's very clear that our president on the campaign trail was talking all about this, promising many things. So I don't think he's given up on it, even though it looks like it. And it is true that he could lose a lot of seats the next time around if this does not start to pan out the right way. At any rate, that's my video. I'm kind of wondering what some of you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.